Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new video. Make sure you smash that like button down below and subscribe to the channel if you are new. And last night's election results out of the state of Wisconsin have a lot of conservatives confused. Some of them are scared about the results and what took place, and a lot of Democrats are being overjoyed by this. But at the same time, I think it's important that we look into what actually happened, because all of those things right there, all of those reactions are complete and total fallacies. And I'm going to explain why. And we're also going to do a preliminary election map for 2024 if the Republican Party nominates a neocon, a liberal Republican, showing you how they can't win, what's the best that they potentially could do. And we'll look into that because that's exactly what happened last night in Wisconsin. I wanted to tie these two things together and make it into one video. But first, I do have to tell you guys about my good friends over at Noble Gold. Now, spring is here and it's time for some spring cleaning. The mower needs sorting, the garden looks wrecked, and the barbecue needs some work. You might enjoy doing these jobs, but if you can't, you're going to need to pay somebody, and that's going to take money. Let's face it, putting money aside for a comfortable retirement is the only way you're going to get out of doing the lawn yourself, right? That way you could visit the kids, hike that trail, or play golf like your friends are all doing. And Noble Gold can help with that by investing in precious metals along with your other investments. A gold or silver IRA is a great way of doing this. And this month, Noble Gold is gifting a genuine rare Carson City minted Morgan silver dollar with every qualifying IRA or 401k you do. So get in touch with the experts at Noble Gold at www.noblegoldinvestments.com. Again, www.noblegoldinvestments.com. So Wisconsin, last night you had an election for the superintendent of public education in the state here. And the more liberal candidate won big. They won with 58% of the vote, and they beat this individual, Deborah Kerr. Deborah Kerr is not a Republican, not even much of a conservative, more of a neoliberal type of individual. She voted for Joe Biden. Was she endorsed by Walker, and was she endorsed by people like Betsy DeVos? Yeah, she was endorsed by the GOP establishment because she was the more establishmentarian candidate in the race, but she was no conservative. She was no Trump supporter. She was no populist by any means. She was just a milquetoast candidate that really nobody liked, whether you were on the right, whether you were on the left. There were no Kerr signs lining up all over the place across the rural part of the state, across the WOW counties. Maybe she had a little bit more support, but it really wasn't that much. And you could look at this here. The Trump counties in the northern part of the state and the Driftless, nobody showed up to vote. Nobody turned out. And that is why the liberal candidate did well, because nobody turned out. Turnout was low for the right. And as a result, they weren't really able to win in the first place. So if you don't give somebody a reason to get out and vote for you, if you're just going to be the diet version of the other candidate, you're going to lose. And frankly, you deserve to lose, okay? And when it comes down to the Department of Education and education as a whole, Republicans are losing on this issue. I feel like a lot of people are talking about, well, we should just abolish the Department of Education. Okay, I don't like the Department of Education at the federal level, but as of right now, it exists. And if the left is going to weaponize it against us and push things through like critical race theory, we shouldn't abolish and concede defeat, because abolishing the department is not going to make the indoctrination go away. You have to clear out the department. You're going to have to use the department. You can obviously scale it back a little bit and cut some funding, but you're going to have to use the department to push through the 1776 Commission, a more pro-American style of education. That's what's going to have to be done. I agree, education is definitely more of a state issue than a national issue, but Republicans shy away from the topic altogether, and I don't think we should, because if you had an actual, pro-Trump candidate in this race that was anti-critical race theory because Jill Underly supports it, then as a result, I think it would have been a lot closer. If not, the Republican could have won. And this race held back Republicans down ballot, and they underperformed in a lot of these special elections for state Senate. They still won them. But in a place like Oklahoma and Nebraska, there were special elections yesterday where the Republicans killed it. They did very well. But looking at this, if you don't give somebody a reason to get out and vote for you, you're going to lose. This is why Mitt Romney lost so badly to Barack Obama in places like Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania. Donald Trump gave people a reason to vote for him, and as a result, he eventually won. Because a lot of these counties, because you look at this map here, you look at all these counties that are, rural and green. There's very few of them. The only ones where they really performed in line to Trump percentage-wise was like Waukesha County, and even then they underperformed Trump because they're not really a conservative. They're just a neoliberal. They were the more conservative candidate, but that's not saying a whole lot. These counties here that even voted for the more conservative candidate, there's barely any of them, and you saw a massive turnout drop-off. On both sides, you see a massive turnout drop-off. So the idea that running a more liberal candidate, the diet left, fails. If you look at the county map here, a lot of the counties in the Southwest that voted for Trump went heavily for Jill Underly. A county like Grant County, though, she only got 4,000 votes in the county. It heavily went for Trump. Trump got over 14,000 votes in the county. So it's not a fair comparison. It's not a good indicator for 2022 either. I don't think we have that yet. We're going to wait and see on Texas's 6th, 7th, I don't know which district. I think it's the 6th, and I believe New Mexico's 1st. That's going to happen within a couple of months. I'm going to be streaming it live. We're going to have a very good stream. Hopefully everybody's going to be there because that could be an indicator. But the race last night, not a very good indicator. But it is a good indicator for, let's say, a presidential election where you're going to run somebody like Nikki Haley up against somebody like even as bad as Kamala Harris. Republicans aren't going to turn out and vote for Haley. I wanted to do this election map very, very briefly here because looking at a map with Nikki Haley and some other neoconservative candidate or, super libertarian candidate as VP, they're not going to turn out voters because they don't represent the will of the people within the right-wing base, especially Dan Crenshaw. Mass immigration, massive foreign intervention, and red flag laws. That's not good. Not good for Republicans. Nikki Haley, mass immigration. She's a globalist, essentially, and that is something that the Republican Party needs to shy away from. She's essentially George Bush as a female, and I think a lot of people know it now. A lot of people criticized me in the past for saying that, but I think everybody would agree now that that is the case. As somebody as bad as Kamala Harris could walk all over Nikki Haley because Nikki Haley is going to try so hard to be diet Kamala Harris to get 5% more of the vote in a place like Oakland County, Michigan, and she'll get 2% more while having a massive turnout drop-off in the rest of the state, and Kamala Harris takes Michigan by like 6 or 7. Because trying to be liked by the left does not work, and it's never worked, and the Republicans need to take note because we keep losing on this front. But honestly, looking at the map, I wanted to fill this out. Even somebody like Kamala Harris would decimate Nikki Haley. And if you think about running Charlie Baker, Larry Hogan, John Kasich, it arguably would be even worse than this. Obviously, you say, but if everybody turned out, obviously Republicans would, it doesn't matter. People aren't going to always turn out. Charlie Baker might do a little bit better in a place like Chester County, Pennsylvania, by like 2%. But in the rural part of the state, he'll get decimated because no Republican's going to turn out. You'll see a high third party. I'm not going to vote for Nikki Haley if she's the nominee in a general election. I'll vote third party. And people are going to say, oh, but the Libertarian Party is cringe. Okay. And, I'm probably not going to vote for them. If the Libertarian Party candidate is worse than Nikki Haley, I'll vote for the Constitution Party. I'll write in myself if I have to. I'm not voting for Nikki Haley. But filling out this map, Colorado probably safe blue. Maybe Haley, because she's very globalist establishment, would do well in the Nova suburbs compared to your typical Republican, but that's a rarity, and that's not even going to be enough to win Virginia, because if you're a Republican trying to win Virginia, you have to get out the rural base. You just do. But in terms of the Republican states, Haley probably would win a lot of the Deep South safe, but not by the margins that Donald Trump won it by, even if Trump is out there campaigning for Haley. Missouri probably be by a likely margin. Montana by a likely margin. Alaska, you could even argue would be by a likely margin. Maybe because the Nebraska 2nd District gets gerrymandered, that she'd be able to win it by a lean margin because it would be suburban. Probably would take Indiana by more than 10. But Ohio would be lean. Iowa would also be lean, if not even tilt. Texas may be likely, especially if you choose somebody like Crenshaw, because maybe she'll do a little bit better in the suburbs of Dallas, and that's enough, but she'd do worse in the Panhandle than Trump. She'd probably do worse among Hispanics than Trump because, like I said, immigration's not going to help Republicans get Hispanics by conceding on that issue. Yeah, she'd win South Carolina, maybe because she's from South Carolina. She'd narrowly pull a Romney and barely win North Carolina, but even that's not even guaranteed. Florida, because of this whole socialism card in South Florida, I don't think she'd do as well as Trump, but I think that she probably could win on a good day. Again, this is a prediction on a good day. I'll show you on a bad day in a minute. But, okay, maybe she'll win Maine's second tilt, but she'd lose Pennsylvania likely, New Hampshire likely, Michigan likely, Wisconsin probably lean because that is a changing state, and Minnesota likely. New Mexico likely, Nevada lean to likely. Arizona, I think Haley, again, if you're going to do 2% better in the suburbs, okay, maybe she would take Arizona by proxy. But on a good day, maybe she would take Georgia too, but I don't think she'd take Georgia. I don't think she'd take Georgia at all. I think Harris would get the energy factor. No matter what changes you have down there, you saw what happened in the special election in January. The Republicans didn't show up, especially in Marjorie Taylor Greene's district. You'd see a very similar feat. So this is on a good day. On a bad day, maybe you would see Harris take Florida, North Carolina, Arizona, and maybe even Maine second. That's a stretch. I think Harris was just so unlikable that people would vote against her by proxy. But like I said, she's not even guaranteed to get to 200 electoral votes if she's the nominee. If you run a nominee like Larry Hogan, they're probably going to do even worse. It's not because of national popularity. It's just because they're not somebody who can energize the base. If John McCain did not have Sarah Palin on his ticket, he would have been at risk of losing West Virginia. He would have been at risk of losing Missouri. He would have been at risk of losing places even like Arkansas, and Kentucky and Tennessee would have been a lot closer. But because he picked Sarah Palin, that helped him. Yeah, it probably hurt him in the suburbs in many places, but he was not going to win those states anyways. He was going to get destroyed, but he was even leading the polls after he picked her for a couple of weeks. So everybody likes to say Sarah Palin was dumb, Sarah Palin is low IQ or whatever. I mean, she knew how to relate to the average American a lot better than John McCain did, and actually was one of the reasons why his campaign was even as successful. It's not successful at all, obviously, but it was as successful as it is because of Sarah Palin, believe it or not, but nobody wants to talk about it. Conservative Inc. doesn't want to talk about it. They want to push these candidates like Nikki Haley, and now we see signs of Kristi Noem turning into Nikki Haley, as I predicted when nobody else did. People said I was crazy. Turns out I was right. I don't know who's going to be next on that list. Obviously, the governor of Arkansas seems to be caving in a lot of issues. I really think that the next individual that could be a candidate that people are propping up that's going to be a bust is somebody like Mike Pompeo, who was a little bit more interventionist on foreign policy, may have done some good things, better than Rex Tillerson as Secretary of State, but Pompeo's probably not going to go anywhere. I don't think he's that electable. I think 2024, it's going to be Trump or DeSantis. We can have that debate. I talked with David on my last stream about who I would have preferred, and we kind of disagreed. He wanted DeSantis. I still want Trump a little bit more, but altogether, I'd be fine with either of them. I think they both have their strengths. They both have their drawbacks as well, but they're both very strong candidates capable of beating Kamala Harris in 2024 because she's probably going to be the nominee, whether we like it or not. Joe Biden, 82 years old. If he runs again, that's going to be a problem for a lot of people. Already, his age was a large problem. If it was Biden from 2008, on policy, on rhetoric, on presentation, he probably would have done a lot better than he actually did. But Biden in 2024 going up against, Donald Trump, Biden will be, 82? I mean, Trump's going to be old. He's 78, but he's based, he's epic, he's a Chad, he's an honorary Zoomer. That's what you get with Donald Trump, high energy. When you talk about somebody like Joe Biden, the guy's half asleep all the time. And it says a lot of off-the-wall things that aren't even funny. They're just weird and off-putting. So, like I said, if you want to lose to Biden or Kamala Harris, run Nikki Haley, run Mitt Romney, and I don't think any of these people are capable of winning the nomination because people like us are really pushing the Overton window into the more populist direction, the more anti-establishment direction. And it's going to be interesting. Maybe the person who, if Trump doesn't run, maybe the real guy hasn't shown their face yet, but who knows who it's going to be. But anyways, guys, thanks for watching this video. Please like this video down below, comment down below, and subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell for notifications so you never miss another video. Follow me on social media, including Alt Tech. The links are all in the description below. As always, guys, thanks for watching. Red Eagle, out.